Welcome to the Money Mentors Podcast.
Now, sometimes here on the show, we point to some of the richest families or richest investors out there for great lessons on what they did right. But here's an interesting one that we haven't dived into before here, Gerald. We've all heard about the Vanderbilts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, big name. But did you know that one of the richest families in U.S. history actually lost much of that wealth in just 3 generations? I thought this was interesting. Morningstar recently wrote about this fascinating story and the fact that Cornelius Vanderbilt's $100 billion fortune was essentially gone just a century later, and none of his descendants could claim millionaire status. Again, after just 3 generations, and $100 billion in his time was essentially, probably what? $1 trillion these days.
Mm-hmm.
And so it just goes to show that even successful families can really have trouble hanging on to their wealth, no matter how good they were at accumulating it. So how do you help educate multiple generations on how to preserve and protect that wealth while they also still enjoy it? Because again, a lot of families, they work hard. Maybe they have a family business or something like that. But again, you have to teach those future generations also how to use that money wisely.
This was an interesting read. All of that money and then gone 100 years later. And I think it speaks to once you have a lifestyle, you continue that lifestyle. But if you're not working to preserve that lifestyle or have a plan to preserve it, that's where it gets lost. I think the word that was used in the article was called entropy. It's a physics law, I guess. It basically says all things naturally slide from order into chaos unless you keep applying effort. And I think that line sums up everything that, is at the heart of everything we do here. It takes effort to come up with that financial roadmap for your retirement, whether it's accumulating the assets, whether it's distributing the assets in retirement. You have to have a plan, and that plan requires effort. And you can't just do it once and set it and, okay, I'm good. Things change, lifestyles change, needs change, costs change. So if you're not constantly working and applying effort to maintain that plan, it doesn't matter all the hard work or how much you've accumulated. It may last your lifetime, but if your goal is to pass it on to your children and your grandchildren and create that dynasty, they have to have that same mentality of effort in order to continue all of the good work that you did to put them in that position. And that's what we talk about, and that's one of the things we talk about in the very first meeting is we design a legacy plan. So we're not just going to work on your plan because we know your plan has outside influences. We're going to look above you. We're going to look at, is there a mom, dad, sister, or brother that you have emotional or physical or financial support for? That's going to affect your plan.
Sure.
It could be added travel costs. It could be financial support. It could just be stress in your retirement. How are we compensating for that in your plan? And then past you, when it does go on to your beneficiaries, your children, your grandchildren, what information do they have about what you did and how you did it in order to be as successful as you were in retirement? We want to pass that knowledge on and let them know that it's not just an account with a dollar sign and a decimal point.
Right.
Mom and dad worked hard to accumulate this. They did the right things. And you know what? Maybe they didn't buy the 65-foot yacht. They just bought the 25-footer because, hey, this is what we need. This gets us what we want, and still preserving something for in case we need it later. But if we don't use it, hey, we're helping the kids out. Mm-hmm. Having that lifestyle, having that plan, constantly putting effort into it and helping the kids understand what your goals are in retirement with that plan is going to set them up as well. So when we talk to your beneficiaries, it's not about their plan right away. It's about, here's what mom and dad did. Here's what they're trying to do. So if this happens, this is how they're set up to be able to handle that. And then if this happens, well, we can do this. We're educating them early on about the plan that the parents had. So when there is something to be passed on to the next generation, they have an idea of the work and the effort and the mindset that goes into having that stress-free retirement.
So key. And I thought one of the interesting points that, Morningstar brings up here is, bringing in professional help for these conversations, because after all, you as money mentors, you get to know your clients. They do become like family. At the same time, you have sort of that third party there, someone who can, be there to make sure that, like, hey, mom and dad, as you mentioned there, mom and dad did this so that you can enjoy this, or so that you won't do this. You can kind of be that unemotional part of this equation here, Gerald. Do you find that makes the conversation about money a little bit easier for families when you're involved in that?
Absolutely. It's that unbiased third party, or it should be that unbiased third party, trying to build an education not only for the principals involved, but the people that we're not sure who will be involved later down the road, right? Passing that education, passing that plan on, and giving them that unbiased recommendation, good or bad. And that's one of the things we pride ourselves here at Matson Financial on, is all the conversations aren't always good. Sometimes they're bad conversations, but we're going to have them. We want you to understand the why, the pros and cons of everything, because my job is always to make the recommendation that I feel is in your best interest. And you may hate it and decide to go the exact opposite way. That's okay. This is your plan. I work for you. But I'm not fulfilling my fiduciary capacity unless I'm presenting all the options and, in my expert opinion, what I believe is in your best interest. We got to look at everything. We have to pass that information from you to the next generation, to the one after that. So again, you're enjoying that balance of your critical income need, your lifestyle, while also that knowledge is filtering down to that next generation. So whatever you leave them, hopefully it does last for far more generations than the Vanderbilts did.
Want weekly lessons from your money mentors? Yes. Hit the subscribe button now and listen every weekend on Wood Radio.
The opinions expressed in this program are for general informational purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual or on any specific security. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult your financial advisor prior to investing. Any past performance discussed during this program is no guarantee of future results. Fee-based financial planning and investment services are offered by Matson Financial Services, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Insurance products and services offered through Lakeview Financial Group, LLC, Matson Financial Services, LLC, and Lakeview Financial Group are affiliated. To find out if Matson Financial Services is licensed in your state, please call 800-536-8907.